Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Noni, coming to you from St. C Academy here in North Carolina. And this is December. And so started it this month off with my father's birthday. His birthday was yesterday. And he would have been 91 years old. So this is his heavenly birthday. And so, you know, I'm moving through this time here. This is also a season of harvest celebrations. And this last weekend, my children celebrated John Canoe out at Stagville Plantation here in Durham. And so I thought maybe what would be great, because one of the conversations we had out there was how these harvest traditions have been passed on to us from the continent. And and so I said, well, let me do a little deeper look into that. Um, and so what do these traditions look like in the continent, and how do we practice them today? And so prior to colonizing invaders from Europe, Africans had their own cultural practices that were non-Christian, now Muslim, but grounded in their um, agricultural experience. And John Canoe and Kwanzaa are those are American versions, or what we would consider, because we John Canoe is uh, the name John Canoe is associated with the folks in the Caribbean and people in North America, and in South America. And of course, we have Kwanzaa now, which is a first fruits celebration at the end of December. But all of these celebrations are falling during the time of the harvest season in West Africa, and maybe throughout Africa. So one of the things I wanted to do was start with a study of the Egyptian or the Kemetic calendar, and the Kemetic calendar is called the Dendera. So, and when we go through it, you'll understand. Oh, I see what's going on. So, the Kemetic calendar, the Dendera, is considered the original zodiac, and the Dendera represents a 360-day calendar with 36 10-day weeks and 1 week of 5 days, and so really 13 weeks, but no, 13 months, but that 13th month represents the 5 days. And so you get the 365 days in a year. And so the calendar is divided into 12 sections and maps the constellations from Aquarius to Capricorn. And so what I wanted to do is show you, this is a book, Nile Valley Civilizations, written by Anthony Browder. And right here you can see the calendar. So according to this inscription, this paragraph here, it explains, it says the original zodiac was Dendera was located in the temple, in the ceiling of the temple of Dendera. Napoleon came along and blew it out of the ceiling in 1799, and that it is now in the Louvre Museum. Africans with all of their no technology, but then real technology, no intelligence, and then super intelligence. It's just hypocrisy is amazing. But anyway, so they stole our stuff, like they steal all our stuff, unfortunately. And so the inner circle of figures here, which move counterclockwise like the stars, shows the astrological signs of the zodiac circling around the North Pole. So the center here is supposed to be the North Pole, right? And then you have these folks in this outer circle. The outer circle figures represent the 36 decans. Each one symbolizes the 10-day weeks of the Kemetic year. And the 12 figures outside of the circle represent the 12 months of the year. And their arms represent the 24 hours in a day. So this thing was very intense, very complex. And so what I wanted to do was start and show how this calendar was in alignment with the seasons, as above, so below. So in the African constellation, the focus was agricultural seasons based on the lunar cycle of the moon, And so according to the scientific theory of observation, that these ancient Kemet people, land of the black people, figured out, was that they said there was a correlation between what was going on in the sky, the constellations, and what was happening below. And then they created a constellation that represented what was going on below. So we always start with Aquarius. So here's Aquarius. And so Aquarius symbolizes the inundation of the Nile. And so you see, this is the water flowing. And it never made any sense to me until I started reading I said, what is Aquarius? Why would you have water? But in Egypt, or ancient Kemet, that was the season when the Nile River was overflowing its boundaries. So that little story you heard about Moses being able to do something and change the water into blood or whatever, it was really just a silt that rose up when the Nile overflowed its boundaries. And I know I've said that before. So then you had Pisces, and Pisces was, where's Pisces? Right here. Oh, Pisces is down here. So Pisces is in February. And so that's the fish. And so what happens is that because of the Nile overflowing its boundaries, you also had fish that were also overflowing the boundaries of the Nile. And with the overflow of the boundary of the overflowing the Nile's the boundaries of the Nile River, you also had silt. So what this was used for is silt is what makes the soil easy to farm. And so the fish were also used to add protein and nutrients. You have these decomposers, all of this stuff that's going on. I'm teaching my kids about soil right now. And so you have sand, you have clay, you have silt, and I think, what is it, loam? And loam is like a combination of all of those soils. And Durham, North Carolina, has a lot of loam, and so we have a lot of agricultural business here in this area. But anyway, that was what helped fertilize the soil and prepare it for farming. So after you have Aquarius, you have Pisces, and then you have Aries. Aries is here. So Aries was representing new life. Aries was, you had new calf being born. This is March, right? Aries time frame. And you have new life. You have baby animals being born all over. And so that's what it symbolized. And then after that, you had Taurus. And Taurus is the bull. Well, Taurus symbolized the preparation of the soil. So they use, the oxen to turn the soil over and prepare it for the planting season. So then you had Gemini, and Gemini is the twins. And Gemini represented fertility and abundance. You're planting your seeds, and the seeds are beginning to sprout, and so it's new life following. What Aries, the new life. Here comes Gemini with new life, but this is mostly referring to the plants and planting season. Then following that, and then also you have the longest days now are in May and June. And so my birthday is the 22nd. I think I'm the 21st is the longest day of the year, and after the 21st the days begin to get shorter. So mine is the second longest day of the year. Anyway, so that's Cancer. And Cancer is, like I said, the first day of Cancer is the retreat of the sun. Now the sun is going to have shorter days, and shorter days, and so the Cancer, the crab looks like it's retreating across the sky. Now then you had Leo, the lion. So in this season, the lions would come out from the desert because of the heat. The heat was driving them out to the desert. And so this is when you would see them, the lions, lined up along the Nile to drink from the Nile River. And so that's what the symbolism in the sky became, Leo the lion. Then you had Virgo. So Virgo is now the harvest, the beginning of the harvest. This is the first fruits of the harvest for from what they have planted. So they're beginning to see the first fruits for of the whatever the grains they had planted, whatever fruits they had planted, and they were beginning to gather those things. So then following Virgo, you have Libra. Libra is now symbolizing that the days and the nights are perfectly balanced. You have 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of day of nightfall. And so that's the reason why you have this scale of balance. That's Libra is symbolizing the balance of the days. And then the next one was Scorpio. So Scorpio is interesting. Scorpio was when they had these massive major sandstorms in the desert area, in the Sahel and all of those places, Arabia as well. And so these winds were so intense that it felt like you were being stung by scorpions. And so that's how the constellation Scorpio evolved. And then following Scorpio, you have Sagittarius. And Sagittarius represented a two-headed beast. So you see, if you look at this one, it looks like a face going forward and a face looking backward. And so this is the symbolizing the end of the season, the end of the harvest season. And Sagittarius, as we know, starts at the end of November and goes through the majority of December. And then finally we have what? Capricorn. And Capricorn is representing the end of the year. So we know December 21st, 20 something, 22nd maybe, is the shortest day of the year. And then the days are going to start to get longer. All right. So all of these constellations, I mean, I know people have associated certain personalities, and I'm one of those. I look at my kids when they come to school and I'm like, oh, when were you born? Oh, I know what to expect. So, I'm one of those. I'm not trying to trash anybody, but because I do that too. Anyway, but they were also agricultural. It was an agricultural calendar. And so, as I said, you got this Sagittarius representing the end of the harvest, the end of the harvest. And this is when you had all of these celebrations that came up. And so, what I wanted to show is that here were some of the, if this is what they were doing back then that's what they were doing. Okay, some of this was now. All right. So in ancient Egypt, I said, let me see some celebration. So this is an example of a harvest celebration. This is people dancing during the celebration, playing music and all of that. And then this was another one where the women are playing flutes and people are dancing through the celebration. So this is ancient Egypt. So, like I said, John Canoe and Kwanzaa are also associated with the same time frame. Dr. Malena Karenga, his research is all about Koeda, which means tradition. So he was trying, he did more studies as the holiday began to emerge more. He began to write more literature. And I just want to clarify, Malana Karenga Dr. Karenga has a lot of issues. I am not here to discuss those issues. And I know some people are like, well, how can you separate the celebration from the man? Well, the man is not the person. He was not the only person who was cultivating this holiday, or this celebration. Is not a holiday, but this celebration was came from a group of people who were working together to create a celebration that was specifically for African Americans. What happened was, I think I presented in another podcast, is that he decided to go ahead and begin the holiday after a young man was killed in 1960s, which sparked off the riots in Los Angeles riots back in the 60s, I believe. And so that's why he is associated, because he was the one who launched it based on trying to bring the community back together. Is he flawed? Yes, but he is not the only person associated with this holiday. So, I mean, this celebration. So, moving on. So, what was the purpose of these celebrations? The purpose of these celebrations in ancient Kemet were to celebrate the abundance of food, an opportunity to share amongst the community all the things that they had gathered. It was also showing gratitude to the creator and the deities of the earth that were associated with agriculture. It was a celebration of fertility, um, um, collective work and responsibility that everybody engaged in to ensure that that the farmers were successful. Um, and and then the dances, a lot of the dances that they engaged in, oh, I forgot to show some of the contemporary pictures, were reflective of here's one of the contemporary pictures of people in Kemet celebrating the celebration there. So what now, theirs is not as vibrant as West Africa. Or, well, I guess I have pictures of other places. But people created in ancient Egypt, these celebrations were called Heb. And and like Kwanzaa, the Kiswahili term means first fruits, and it covers practices all over Africa. I'm gonna give Dr. Malanga Malana Karenga his due, because he examined the different harvest festivals all over Africa, not just in West Africa. And also, these ceremonies included drumming, amazing costumes, um, a masquerade, which we see in the Caribbean, and announcing, and then there was a parade in West Africa, in Sierra Leone, for example. um, I was told uh, that the drummers would start at one of the houses in the village, and then they would go from house to house, and the people, the crowd would get larger and larger, and then they would go and finally end up at the chief's house. And then once they got to the chief's house, they were bringing food and all of this to celebrate the harvest. Now they had the drumming and the dancing and all of that, but this is also a time of merriment, where they would have light banter, and they could tease the chief at this time and make comments like, the chief is so fat, whatever. And so I was like, oh, okay. So this joking people, I think I even addressed it in when I learned about the Kurakan Fuga, and that African people were told, hey, don't be overly sensitive. People, we're going to joke you, and you need to get it. So we actually had it in some of our own documents as early as the 1200s, that we are going to engage in this way with, find joy, find comedy. So this is very much, I'm not saying no one else has comedy, but Africans definitely this was on brand for us. And the same thing happened here in the Jonkanu festivals in America. This was a time people were masquerade, and they could go and they could joke the plantation owner, and they could hurt the feelings of his wife, saying, your wife, you so fat, your wife won't even sleep with you, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And of course, following the celebration the next day, the plantation and the overseers were like, who is that dressed up in that masquerade? And of course, nobody knew, because like, masquerade. They had on a mask. I don't know who it was. But anyway, this is something that we was carried over here. So what I wanted to show now were just some of the places, some of the different uh celebrations that we had. So this is from Sierra Leone. So you see the masquerade, you have the mask, you have the rattan, and the people are dressed up in the back here. And then here you see people, their faces are painted, and the rattan, the straw skirts and everything. This is what they did in Sierra Leone. Now, my next picture is of this is also Sierra Leone. So you can see the different things that they did there. Now, uh, this is Ghana, and these are not John Canoe. This is the West African uh, spin on the celebrations that they have during this season. And this one is from Senegal. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of similar to what they have in Sierra Leone. And uh, they call this kumpo. And then you have now I went to Zimbabwe. So their, you know, costumes are very interesting too. You've got the feathers, it looks like straw. Um, and then, the rattan, and then it's very decorative. Uh, this is amazing. And I really like their costumes. And then this is from Kenya, the celebrations. And as you can see, there are lots of colors, reds and blues and yellows and greens, and just, I mean, very lively. Um, and that's Kenya as well. Just amazing. And so these are their carnival things. And this is from the Congo. I really love their hats. And so I tried to just make a design like this for outfit that I made for Carnival. So these are the ones that are from West Africa. But let's look at John Canoe. So this is a John Canoe I can't remember, is this one? This is a John Canoe in the Caribbean, I believe. And so you just saw Africa. And here we go. Same kinds of, this is a Jamaican. They call it the Jamaican Christmas. Wait. No, the Jamaican Christmas. This is something. And you see the same concepts of horns. Now, the thing that they don't have is the rattan that they used, like the straw. And so what happened when we came to the Caribbean, and then even here in North America, we started using strips of cloth. So you can see they have strips of cloth versus having the rattan. And I mean, so Jamaica, this is Jamaica, the Caribbean. And so then this is the Bahamas. And look, their stuff is absolutely fascinating. Look at these feathers and like I say, all these colors and stuff. And this is happening around the same time that the African people are having their festivals. This is from Belize. So this is the people in Belize doing John Canoe. Okay. So drumming, dancing, colorful outfits. I see down here, I think this is they have like a masquerade down there too, right here at the bottom. And then they dress up here too. So now let's come to the United States. This is in the United States, John Canoe. I can't remember where that one was, but this one is in Florida. Look at the John Canoe in Florida. They are not playing. And then here is one. This is the Gullah Geechee in South Carolina. Let me see down here. Oh, they have their umbrellas, and then that one right there, I love it. Ancient Egypt, all of that kind of stuff. They are not playing the Gullah Geechee in South Carolina. And so this is in Georgia, the John Canoe Festival in Atlanta. Wow. And so, and then this is the one in Virginia, John Canoe in Virginia. And so this is like, and then we have ours in North Carolina. Oh, I was supposed to show the one in North Carolina, what we look like here in North Carolina. Let's see, for the weekly updates I sent out of John Canoe poster of us. Okay, so this was my St. C Academy, and this is us doing our John Canoe. And of course, ours is based on the 1800s. And so we're doing a historical reenactment, but you can see our drummers, our girls dancing. And yes, and then we have the rag man down here. I don't know if I can get that up. The rag man is a person in all of these rags dancing. And so this year, I'm going to show you this was the headpiece for our rag man. And look at these horns. And so we had this made in Sierra Leone. So this is our ragman costume. And in the States, and I'm pretty sure in the Caribbean, you have a ragman and he's dressed in sort of like, it's the same. I think that they're trying to get the same kind of thing as the egungun. So when you see in Senegal and you see in Sierra Leone, that same thing. So the ragman is covered in rags, and then that was his crown. But then you also have the fancy man, and the fancy man is the person who's like the guiding this egungun ragman character who is dancing in the midst of the crowd and everything. And so this and the traditional African community, the ragman would have been that a gungun straw person with the straw grasses, the long grasses on them, and the fancy man would have been the person who was joking, like the MC joking the chief or the overseer or whatever. And but of course they're still in masquerade, so they can say all this stuff, but their faces would not have been exposed. They would have been covered with some sort of mask. And so John Canoe is literally a diaspora celebration where we have taken the past. We couldn't, in North Carolina, they didn't have as much access to stuff, so they just had to get strips of cloth and they try to compensate with what they had to make John Canoe. They couldn't have the drums, so they created box drums. The box drums. I'm like, dude, I think I had that picture in this in here with the John Canoe picture. They couldn't. If you see in this top picture, the boys had those box drums because they could not have. It was illegal for us to play drums, because they realized that our drums were sending messages, and so they're like, wait. So they had to find a way to still do this presentation. But like I said, John Canoe is a historical holiday, and we are continuing to celebrate the harvest through the lens of our own ancestors. And a lot of us don't even realize how this thing is connected. But for it to be in the Caribbean, to be in the southern United States, on the coast where you have, like the original colonies. Well, Florida wasn't the original colony, but you have a lot of people who have replanted there or relocated in that area. But yes, even here in North Carolina in the 1800s, this late 1700s to the 1800s in Durham, and we're going to be performing at Tryon Palace in New Bern. They had John Canoe out there, and hopefully we'll be also participating in the January North Carolina Museum of Life and Science, North Carolina Museum of Science or History over in Raleigh at the end of January. So I just wanted to show you the connection between these holidays, and of course we got Kwanzaa coming up, and so give thanks. I hope to see you in some of these celebrations. Peace and blessings. I say ashe asheo.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I walk into the sound of drums.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I know my mother.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I can play the drum.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I can work with my hands.
I'm a St. Cia student.